Hello Libras, welcome to your 2024 overview horoscope. In this video, I'll be going over all the big transits happening in 2024. I'll be explaining what to expect for different parts of the year, and I'll be offering some do's and don'ts for different parts of the year. 2024 main events include Pluto's back and forth from Aquarius to Capricorn, back to Aquarius, with its final ingress into Aquarius at the end of the year. Also, Jupiter will conjoin Uranus before changing signs and entering Gemini, bringing some luck and expansion to new house topics for the next 12 months. And it will also square Saturn and Pisces, so we'll talk about that, and we will discuss eclipse season, both spring and fall eclipse season as well. As a reminder, I recommend looking or listening to your rising sign, but sometimes people do find value in looking at their sun or moon signs. Astrology is just a form of divination after all. So let's hop right into it. Let's start in January. On January 20th, 2024, Pluto enters Aquarius for the second time. This isn't the first time you will have experienced this transit. Pluto will be entering your fifth house, and the first time it did this was in March of 2023. So if you look back to March, it was the end of March or beginning of April vibes. Look back to that in your calendar, in your journal, in your emails. See what was going on around that time, and it'll give you a hint on what to expect in January of 2024. But overall, get ready for another round of deep changes in areas surrounding your creativity, the things you do for fun, your love life, or anything to do with children. So let's talk about more specifics. What are some specific things you can expect at the beginning of the year? A creative evolution is possible. The fifth house rules your creativity, your projects. So your hobbies, your projects might take some sort of dramatic turn. Pluto rules big transformations, so maybe you'll dive into new art forms or find a fresh new way to express yourself. Maybe the tones will be a bit darker thanks to Pluto. You'll be redefining fun with Pluto in your fifth house. The things you do for fun could change. You might outgrow some old hobbies, find new ones that are more fulfilling. And if you are dating, changes in any romance, the way that you approach romance could evolve. It could be more about deep connections rather than casual dates, or maybe you meet somebody whose relationship is very heavy for you. Actually, I'll get into that in a minute. Also, shifts in relationships with your kids is possible. If you have kids, if you work with kids, your relationship with them might go through some sort of profound change as well. But either way, there are new approaches to your entertainment on the way. Even the way that you have fun and that you relax and what you do for recreational time, your go-to activities for chilling out, all of this could see some form of transformation. So my recommended do's and don'ts for Pluto in your fifth house at this point in the year, I do recommend you experiment with creative outlets, dive into new art projects, write a story you've been thinking about, pick up an instrument. It's a perfect time to explore different creative outlets. I also recommend trying new hobbies. If there's something you've always wanted to try, like a cooking class, joining some sort of sports league, a book club, go for it. I also recommend you go on dates and or revamp your dating profile. If you're into online dating, give your profile a makeover to reflect more of who you are. And I recommend just putting yourself out there more. But this brings me to the don'ts for this time of year. I recommend you do not overlook any signs of controlling behavior in relationships or while dating. Watch out for people who are manipulative or put you into power dynamics, or just with controlling tendencies. Pluto rules power dynamics and manipulation and that sort of thing. So that type of person might come through in your dating life or with creative hobbies, etc. So just be aware, not everybody, obviously, but be aware of that sort of vibe. And I recommend you don't do the same old stuff for fun. Like, don't watch the same old movies you always watch. Don't go to the same bar you always go to. Shake it up. New activities can be good with this transit. And for those of you with kids, don't ignore your kids' changing interests or just they're changing at this point. Pluto's there, so their interests could be evolving. or, you just might need to support them in new ways. So remember though, Pluto is a long game planet. It's a slow moving planet. So these changes will unfold over time, and they will overall reshape your approach to creativity, to self-expression, and to what you do for fun. So this brings us to spring eclipse season. Eclipse season in the spring is going to be bringing some pretty big changes for you, especially with your 1st and 7th house topics. This is an angular eclipse for you. And the first eclipse in this series began in fall of 2023. So if you look back to the beginning of October, the end of September of 2023, you can get some ideas of what sort of benchmark moments will be coming up with transformations with these house topics. And so let's break down each eclipse. The first eclipse is March 25th, and it will be happening in your 1st house in Libra, which is about you and your identity. So you can expect changes on how you present yourself to the world. Maybe a new style or a fresh approach to your health or your fitness, or maybe taking on new roles in your life, maybe becoming a parent, something like that. But a reinvention of you is possible, like hitting the refresh button on your personality and how others see you. And then the next eclipse, we have 2 wonky weeks in between eclipses that we like to call eclipse season. So March 25th is the first eclipse, and April 8th is the next eclipse in Aries, which is your 7th house of relationships. And this brings big shifts to your close relationships or your relationship dynamics. This could mean starting a new relationship, or taking an existing one to another level, or moving on from one that isn't working. Changes in relationship dynamics. And new connections might come up also. You might meet new people, and maybe they challenge your perspective in some way, maybe in partnerships, both personal and professional, but new connections are possible with this eclipse too. At the same time, during eclipse season, Mars will be conjoining Saturn in your 6th house. So unfortunately, we have wonky eclipse season vibes, which is the ending of one era and the beginning of another era happening at the same time, new beginnings and endings happening at the same time, which is bittersweet usually. But with Mars conjoining Saturn at the same time, we have some slowdown, we have some no's, we have some challenges coming up with 6th house topics, which include your workplace, your health, your pets, people that you've hired, and just your overall routine. So expect some sort of slowdown or challenge amidst all of these endings and beginnings, maybe having to do with something entirely separate from the endings and beginnings, like your pets or your workplace, etc. So my recommended do's and don'ts for spring eclipse season. I do recommend you update your wardrobe or your look. If you're feeling a change at this time, I recommend go for it. Get new clothes, get a different hairstyle, anything that makes you feel like the best version of yourself. And I also recommend you do stay open to new relationship dynamics. Whether that's deepening a current relationship or exploring new relationships, stay open to how, these interactions can evolve during eclipse season. So as for don'ts, I recommend you don't hold on to any outdated self-perceptions. We're letting go of old identities with this eclipse series. Let go of old beliefs about yourself. It's a time of new beginnings. I also recommend you don't ignore red flags in relationships during eclipse season. Stay aware of how people are treating you in your daily life. If something doesn't feel right, it's okay to step back and reassess. I give you permission. Overall, eclipse season is about transformation, especially for Libras. It's a great eclipse season to explore who you are and how you relate to others. And it's a great eclipse season to make changes that reflect who you are and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships as well. It's a pretty exciting opportunity. And this brings us to the end of April, April 20th. Jupiter conjoins Uranus at 21 degrees Taurus, and this will be in your 8th house. And with this, it might be a week or a month that brings unexpected changes related to finances and related to partnership dynamics and related to just you transforming and leveling up in some way. So let's talk about specifics. You might experience some sort of sudden change to your financial situation, an unexpected bonus, inheritance, a change in your debt status is possible. So unexpected financial gains or financial shifts. It's overall a positive thing because we have Jupiter there, who is kind of a protector in a way. Uranus can bring chaos, but Jupiter is a bit of a protector. So it's probably a more positive financial situation. You can also expect it'll just be a time of growth in leaps and bounds. Surprising discoveries about yourself, noticing emotional resilience at the time. But yeah, deep emotional insights are coming through with this conjunction. And if you share any financial resources with a partner or with someone who supports you, you can anticipate some shifts there. Maybe new investments or changes in how the resources are managed is possible. And if you're in a partnership, you can expect shifts happening in their life with you possibly having to support them in some way, emotionally or materially. So my recommended do's and don'ts for April 20th or April in general with this conjunction, I do recommend you explore new investment opportunities at the end of April. Be on the lookout for unique financial opportunities. Consider them carefully. I also recommend you go to therapy. The 8th house is a heavy one, and it helps to have support and guidance in working through your emotions. If you don't want to go to therapy, self-reflection, journaling, this is a time to heal as well. April 20th. Put it in your calendar. So don'ts. I recommend you do not, at this time, rush any financial decisions. Despite any excitement with financial changes, take time to think things through before you make any decisions yourself. And do not neglect your emotional health. Don't ignore any emotional upheavals that happen or insights that are coming. It is the 8th house. Addressing them head on can definitely help you in the long run. Because what's nice is a month later, May 25th, Jupiter enters Gemini and trines Pluto in Aquarius. And this combo is all about expanding your horizons and boosting your creative energy. May 25th, Jupiter enters Gemini. We'll be there for 12 months, so until the next May 2025. Let's talk about what you can expect from Jupiter, the planet of expansion and knowledge, moving into Gemini, which is actually its detriment. But we don't mind planets in detriment here. You're in for some eye-opening stuff that's going to stretch your way of thinking. It'll be like diving into a new area of study or just exploring different cultures is possible. A creative power boost is possible. Your creative juices will be flowing like crazy at the end of May. It's a great time to get serious about projects or any creative hobbies that you have on the back burner. And you can expect fun at this time. Enlightening travels even. Fun, learning experiences are very much possible with this. Also, this is a time where you might be diving deeper into your passions. You might notice that you're getting really into things you love at this point, whether it's a hobby, a romantic interest, a personal project, something you created. It's going to be a really exciting time. This is a really big improvement from Jupiter being in your 8th house. So let's talk about the recommended do's and don'ts. I recommend you do sign up for a course. If you always want to learn something new or get that extra qualification, now's the time. The next 12 months is the time with Jupiter here. I also recommend you plan a meaningful trip if you like traveling. Think about going somewhere that's maybe on your bucket list. Maybe especially places that offer a blend of adventure and learning and culture. You can also, I recommend you showcase your creativity. I know you have a talent and you should put it out there. Start a blog, join an art show, just share your work with friends, share it online. So I recommend you don't ignore any learning opportunities. When a chance to learn or travel comes up, don't brush it aside because this could be a very significant time for you to do this. And do not let your creative side go dormant either. You're going to lose out on an opportunity if you do that. Don't let your daily grind keep you from doing any creative stuff in the summertime. Carve out time to keep your spark alive because this is the next 12 months while Jupiter's here is going to be like your personal renaissance. It's a perfect blend of expressing your creativity and expanding your mind. So overall, I want you to embrace opportunities to learn, Travel and create with Jupiter in Gemini. This will be your time to shine and grow at the same time. And so we have a fairly quiet June and July for the most part. But in August, you'll start to feel the sting of Mars squaring Saturn. August 15th, it exacts. Mars will be in your 9th house, squaring off with Saturn in your 6th house. And this will be you'll feel like you're hitting a few speed bumps on your road to personal growth and workplace harmony. So slowness in your daily routine is possible. Anytime the malefics get into a hard aspect, things slow down, essentially. People say no more often. Pessimism is on the rise. So, embrace for slowness in your daily routine in August. And, for example, you might be all set out to explore new ideas or go traveling, but maybe something about your daily work routine or your health routines might throw a wrench in those plans. Like you'll sign up for a night class, but end up not being able to go because you're swamped at work. These are the growing pains aspects, transits, I should say. We have Jupiter changing signs and bringing all sorts of growth, and Mars and Saturn come in. Jupiter will be squaring Saturn too, but we'll talk about that next. Saturn comes through, Mars comes through, growing pains. You can't grow without adjustment, and you won't be able to just exponentially grow and learn without any obstacles. We are on Earth after all. So I think that's what this square is really representing. It's kind of like pulling up on the reins, stepping on the brakes a little bit on how quickly things will be moving when Jupiter's in Gemini. But yeah, workplace tensions are possible, workplace tensions that impact your growth. The stress and challenges at work at this time could affect your ability to focus on your projects or what you want to focus on. Like maybe you're trying to learn Spanish, but after long work days, you're just too zapped. It'll be a time of attempting to balance aspirations with your responsibilities, unfortunately. You've got big dreams, but the day-to-day demands exist too, be it work deadlines or, sticking to a fitness routine. Those things might be demanding your attention in August. Also, if you are involved in a court case or have any issues with law coming up, this is a time that struggle or challenge with that could be plausible. 9th house rules law. So let's talk about the recommended do's and don'ts I have for you for August. I recommend you do find creative ways to keep learning and growing. Fit in a podcast or an audiobook during your commute or during your workout. It's about sneaking in the learning whenever you can in August. And I recommend you stay organized at work. Keep your to-do list very tidy in August and keep your priorities very clear to avoid work overwhelming you and getting a wrench in your plans. Just stay extra organized in August. I recommend you do not overcommit yourself in August. Be realistic about what you can take in. You don't want to burn out trying to do it all. I recommend you don't neglect self-care. This is August will be a time of hustle and bustle and balancing work and personal growth. So you're going to need to look after your health. I recommend you don't forget to take your vitamins in August because this Mars-Saturn square is definitely a juggling act. Keeping up with work while trying to expand your mind and your skills. It's all about finding smart, manageable ways to grow without letting the everyday stuff hold you back too much. So keep your eye on the prize in August, but also on your day-to-day. We're not going to let things get out of hand. And what's interesting is Mars and Jupiter will be very close to conjoining. Jupiter will also be squaring Saturn. It exacts August 19th. And this will be the first act of this because due to retrogrades, we will get another Jupiter-Saturn square at the end of 2024. But with Jupiter in your 9th house, also squaring Saturn in your 6th house, especially with Mars in the mix, you're looking at a mix of challenge and opportunity. So this is kind of like the background guardian angel protector vibe that will be around while we are going through those challenges I was discussing with Mars and Saturn. Jupiter on one hand, might amplify Mars's energy, but on the other hand, it might provide some relief. So, we give and take here. Overall, there will be even more of a boost in your drive for learning, which might make that square feel a lot more annoying because you're like all gung-ho and ready to go, and you can't for whatever reason. Jupiter will amp up Mars's energy, feeling extra motivated to explore new ideas and expand your brain, big brain vibes. But yeah, balancing that enthusiasm with your everyday responsibilities will be your struggle of the summer. And opportunities for traveling, opportunities for education might pop up, but they might need to be weighed against your already existing responsibilities. So what do I recommend you do? What do I recommend you do in August with this part of the square? Schedule intelligently for learning and for work. Use a digital planner in August, or find an app that helps you schedule both work and what you want to do personally. Take short learning breaks instead of long study sessions at this time. For those of you who are in school, I recommend you opt for shorter, more focused periods of learning that fit into your busy day. I've also heard that it's better for your brain to take a break every 30 minutes or something, but that sounds hard, right? That sounds hard. So what I don't recommend you do is bite off more than you can chew. Again, do not overcommit yourself in August, and don't let work dominate your life either. It might be easy to let that happen for some of you, but do not let it happen. Jupiter's presence in the 9th house brings a layer of optimism and expansion to those aspirations, especially in learning and exploring your new horizons that you want to go into. But the key is to harness the energy in a way that complements rather than conflicts with your work life and your daily routines. You'll be able to find that you're going to work to find the balance that will make the best of both worlds. And so this moves us to September 1st. This is when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, and this will be its final return into your 4th house, and you're wrapping up a long-ass journey of it being here since 2008 with your home life and your personal foundations and your family life. So let's talk about what specifically you can expect in September with Pluto re-entering Capricorn. It will be here for only 2 months also. So it's the last 2 months. And so you might find that your relationships with family members reaching a new understanding or a resolution or some sort of culmination. There will be maybe shifts in your home life, any ongoing changes in your living situation like renovation or moving. Maybe that'll be coming to a close and your home environment will be solidified for a while. And you might notice a deeper interest in learning more about your roots, your family history. Maybe there'll be some sort of closure with your foundation, essentially. So what do I recommend, do's and don'ts, for Pluto back in Capricorn? September 1st. Take this 2 months to connect or reconcile with any family members. This is a good 2 months to build stronger relationships if you feel drawn to. I'm not guilting you if you don't want to. Fucking cut those people off if you don't want to talk to them anymore. That's another thing I recommend you do. But now's the time for a final say if you feel called. And if you've been planning any changes or renovations to your house, now's a good time to finish up the last few things or start them, or, finalizing would be best. But if you want to start something, go for that as well. But working on your home is a do. I recommend you don't resist closure. Avoid holding on to any old family grievances with Pluto here, or work through it over the final 2 months. Embrace this opportunity to let go and move forward and leave it in the past. Don't overlook your need for emotional security and comfort when Pluto re-enters your 4th house. There could be some big changes, finalizing these changes. So we want to make sure you feel secure, or you want to make sure you feel secure and comfy. You can also expect changes with your family members, your parents specifically, but maybe your grandparents also. But the final phase of Pluto going through your 4th house is more about, cementing the transformations you've been experiencing in your home life, in your family life, with your foundation since 2008. It'll be more of a time to embrace these changes rather than, experiencing new scary shifts, and helping you ensure that whatever changes have been happening align with your sense of your emotional well-being and your personal history. And this brings us to fall eclipse season. You're in for some major shifts in the fall with your 6th and your 1st house. The first eclipse, let's talk about the first eclipse, September 17th in Pisces. And this one will bring a taste of the endings and beginnings with these house themes for the following year. In this fall will be a little taste of what's to come for the next year with eclipse season. And it's conjoined Saturn. But this is in your 6th house of work, routine, and health. So you can expect some workplace changes, maybe seeing some big shifts at work with this eclipse, new roles, changes in your tasks, or a different approach to how you tackle your job. You can also expect health and routine revamp energy. You can overall expect changes in your daily routines, particularly around your health or a pet's health. This could be just adopting new wellness habits or a different approach to managing stress altogether. You could also, I mentioned pets and service adjustments are possible with this eclipse September 17th. If you have pets, or if you have people that you take care of, or if you have employees, their needs or your relationship with them could undergo some sort of change. And then we have a wonky 2 weeks in between both eclipses until the next eclipse, October 2nd, which will be in Libra in your 1st house. So this brings another benchmark moment in a personal makeover for you, finding yourself rethinking your personal goals, your appearance, how you present yourself to the world. And this eclipse is just pushing you to shed a layer and, align more closely with who you really are. And again, this eclipse season has a bit of a health focus because it has both your 1st and 6th houses involved, which are both the health houses. So your health might be in the spotlight in some level. Maybe you are making changes for the better. Maybe you're finally making doctor's appointments you need to make, that sort of thing. So my recommended do's and don'ts. I recommend you do take time to get super organized during eclipse season, whether it's a new planner or a new app. Find what works for you for scheduling things. Scheduling will be big in fall eclipse season. I also recommend you start a workout plan, start a new diet that you've been considering. It's a great time for new beginnings with health and with fitness. And I recommend you get a new pet or, make changes with your relationship with your pet. I recommend you hire somebody if you need a house cleaner, if you need a plumber, if you need an electrician. Hire somebody if you need something done. And that goes for coworkers, that goes for employees. Also, if you have a business, hire somebody to make your website, that kind of thing. I recommend you don't resist any changes at work. Be open to new ways of working. Be open to new changes in your workplace. And do not neglect your well-being. I've been hounding about your health for the entirety of fall eclipse season. Don't let the busyness of life keep you from taking care of yourself. Okay? So overall, fall eclipse season is setting the stage for some serious updates in how you handle your work, your health, and who you are in general. It's all about embracing the new, reorganizing your routines, and stepping into a more authentic version of yourself. It'll be nice because it'll be one of the last, if not the last, eclipse in Libra. So all of those shifts happening throughout the year will finally get one of the ending benchmark moments and feeling like it's finally settling. But overall, this is a big year for Libra risings with eclipse season happening in their 1st and 7th houses. That's kind of like life overhaul vibes. You'll be a different person at the end of 2024 than you were at the beginning. And this brings us to November. November 19th, Pluto re-enters Aquarius for the final time. It re-enters your 5th house. And this happened for the first time, March 2023. It happened for the second time, January 2024. And at this point, you will be embarking on the last leg of the transformative journey that's been shaping your 5th house topics like creative expression, fun, and romantic life. So this time, these changes will be settling in for the long haul, solidifying all the way up until 2043. Yes, it will be in your 5th house for 19-ish years. Whew. So let's talk about what you can look forward to, and let's talk about some practical do's and don'ts. With Pluto here, the creative seeds that you planted over the past couple years may begin to take root and may begin to sprout and maybe even blossom. You might finalize a significant art project or evolve in some sort of creative expression, something that you've created. New hobbies and fun activities you've experimented with will become more of the new normal, establishing changes in your recreation. And your romantic life might be finding more of its footing. Expect more profound, meaningful connections rather than, fleeting encounters. But we still have that Pluto energy. So a matured approach to romance is coming through. If you are a parent or if you work with kids, your approach or your relationship with them will reach a new level of understanding and of depth. And just overall, the way that you unwind and entertain yourself will now become more of a firm, solidified part of your life and reflect the new you. So I recommend you at this point in November, at the end of November, showcase your creative growth. Share your art, share your music, share your writings, any creative work that you've been a part of, that you've been working on. Post it, share it. That's a part of your transformation, and I'm sure it will be well received. I recommend you fully integrate your new hobbies or activities into your life. I recommend you try new hobbies. I recommend you date. I recommend you meet new people. Invest in relationships that have, grown and deepened over time. And this brings me to the don'ts. Don't ignore red flags, again, in relationships, in romantic settings. You may notice changes in your love life, either with your sexuality, with who you're dating, with what you're into. There could be changes there. That includes pleasure, obviously. You might be interested in new shows, new games, new hobbies. This could all be coming through. And maybe it's a little bit darker themed. What's really nice about Pluto here is this is one of the easier Pluto transits, okay? Unless you have kids, which may bring some challenges in their lives. And as a parent, that might be scary to hear, but remember, they're here on Earth for their lessons in their life also. As Pluto enters your 5th house for the final time, it will be more about embracing and living out the deep personal changes that you've undergone and how you express yourself creatively, how you engage in fun, how you connect romantically. This will be your new normal, so you will be able to own it and enjoy it. It's one of the better Pluto transits. And this moves us to December 6th when Mars stations retrograde at 6 degrees Leo. And this transit is going to be asking you to slow down a bit in your social life, in your networks. It's in your 11th house. It'll give you a chance to rethink your connections and your community involvement. And there may be something about this retrograde that's similar to the Venus retrograde that happened in the summer of 2023. So there could be some similar thread coming up. But let's talk about some specifics. You might be taking a closer look at who's in your circle. You'll be thinking about who really gets you and who's just taking up space, some sort of social circle checkup. And maybe you notice you're talking to old friends, but having new conversations with these old friends. Like an old buddy might pop up. Maybe there's a chance to catch up with someone you haven't talked to in a long time, maybe even resolve an old issue. But group dynamics will be under the microscope in December or around December 6th. So are those group chats and community involvements still aligning with who you are? This will provide time to figure that out. And also at this time, watch out for texts or social media posts getting lost in translation. Clarity will be your best friend during this retrograde, especially in community settings. So the recommended do's and don'ts for this retrograde. I recommend you do hit pause before joining any new groups or community affiliations. Before you RSVP yes to every invite, take a moment and consider if you really want to go. You're a Libra, you'll probably want to go, but consider if you want to go for the right reasons. Consider if it'll be good for your mental health, etc. And scroll through. I also recommend you scroll through your feeds and think about what you're putting out into the digital world and is it reflecting who you really are? And go through, unfollow, unfriend, align, go through, clean house socially, social media, and in person as well. I recommend you don't brush off any miscommunications or awkward conversations coming up in December. If there's a mix-up or a misunderstanding with friends or with groups, tackle it head on. Don't ghost anybody unless you really want to. I support ghosting, but this is a good time to work through things, so don't miss out on that opportunity. And I recommend you don't cling to any outdated social scenes. If your usual hangouts or your usual group activities are feeling off in December, it's okay to step back and find new scenes that suit you better. And so overall, this Mars retrograde, December 6th, will be more about fine-tuning your social life and making sure your besties and your online presence is really in sync with who you are at the time. It'll be spring cleaning for your social world, essentially. Keep what works and say goodbye to what doesn't. And this brings us to December 24th. This is the second Jupiter-Saturn square. And this will be Jupiter squaring from your 9th house to Saturn in your 6th house. And this is without Mars in the picture. So we get more of the pleasantness of this aspect. And it'll be more about handling your need for growth with your need for responsibility. So with Jupiter in your 9th house, you'll be itching to expand your mind, go on adventures, try new things, maybe through courses or through travel. But your day-to-day responsibilities will still need attention. So it'll feel like your need to exist and live life and, taste the yumminess of Earth will feel dampened by your daily responsibilities and might lead to some pessimism. So balancing your aspirations with your workload will come through. Your job and your daily tasks might be demanding a lot at the end of December. So finding time for your personal growth, higher learning, your spirituality might need some clever rescheduling. So I do recommend you use technology to manage your time in December. Apps, digital planners can be lifesavers. I'm mentioning this for the third time because Saturn is in your 6th house, and Saturn wants you to figure out how to schedule and fix your routine. And planners help you juggle your work tasks and your learning or travel plans. If you don't like planners, get a honeycomb planner, which is an astrology themed one that tells you all the transits you have and stuff like make it fun, get one that's cute, get one that's aesthetically pleasing, or find an app that you really vibe with. I like Notion. Try Notion if you want to try an app. And I recommend listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, listening to online courses at this time. Fit them into your lunch break. I also recommend you make any dentist or doctor appointments or vet appointments around this time. And I recommend you don't ignore signs of stress. Don't miss out on your appointments. Take care of yourself physically. This is a good time to make sure you are taking your vitamins and you're drinking water, you're doing all the self-care things you need to do to keep your body running well. December will be a really good time to expand your mind, your horizons, feel open, taste the yumminess of life, while also staying grounded in your everyday reality and getting your to-do list done. You'll be aiming for growth that's more sustainable and doesn't throw your routine out of whack and is more realistic and long-lasting. So it's about smart planning and finding a sweet spot between your dreams and your to-do list in December. So that's what we have today overall, Libra. How do you feel about the upcoming year? There's a lot of changes with the eclipses happening in your 1st and 7th houses, and Jupiter moving into the 9th house will overall be a yummy thing for y'all and help with that Saturn in your 6th house. So drop a comment. Tell me which transit you're looking forward to or which transit you're side-eyeing. I love reading your comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to help the community grow. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to delve deeper into astrology with me, don't forget Pyx's Fellowship offers weekly and monthly personalized horoscopes. And I'm available for one-on-one consultations if you want to get a reading with me or if you want to start a mentorship with me. And of course, you are welcome to join the free 9th House Discord server to keep the astro or tarot conversation flowing. Thanks so much for being here, friends. Good luck. I'll see you on the other side.